This is Karen with newclevelandradio.net. It is time for What in the World with Paul Seaburn and your sidekick, John Donalo. And there is feedback again, which is very interesting. So I don't know where it's coming from, guys, but
Wow.
do you hear it?
No. Oh, wait. What? I haven't been talking, so
Okay. Well,
I don't.
maybe I'm the only one who hears it.
Oh
So,
no, I
I
do.
don't. Yeah, I don't
Yeah,
hear
I do.
anything.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I do.
so we don't know where it's coming from. It's coming from somewhere. So those of you who are listening to What in the World with Paul Seaburn and his sidekick John Donalo, we apologize because this is the only show we get feedback on.
Wow. Yeah. Now by that, by negative feedback, let's put it that way. Electronic feedback. Karen gets plenty of wonderful feedback
Oh
from
yeah,
all of her podcast audience. So please don't misunderstand what she's saying there, everybody out there listening. And I apologize as well for whatever this weird situation is. I don't think it's too. I've listened to the show and personally, I don't think it's too annoying. I think we're far funnier than any kind of static in the background. So we'll talk loud and we'll laugh and hopefully you'll do the same and you'll just ignore all that stuff.
exactly.
Yeah. So yeah, thank you again for joining us at What in the World, everybody's favorite weird news podcast, real news, sometimes strange, always funny. That's our motto. We're coming to you from Northeast Ohio, and I mentioned that specifically today because I can tell I'm a little hoarse. Not a pony. Okay, that's an old dad joke. The But the air quality in Cleveland is atrocious today. It's poor, bordering on breathing mud. Um, the cause of it is the wildfires in Canada, of all places. So I am going to try. I'm drinking tea and honey here, so I may sound static because of
Well,
the
we'll have to work with
pollution.
that, Paul. We'll have to
There
work
you
with that.
go. It's because of the pollution. So come to us every week at 3:30 Eastern Daylight Time on Tuesdays to get your latest fix on the weird news of the world. You know, we talk about Bigfoot, we talk about UFOs, but we a lot of the strange, just strange, unusual things that are happening around the world. If you want that other stuff, I also am a writer and editor at mysteriousuniverse.org, and I always welcome anybody who comes to us from them because we get quite a bit of coverage from Mysterious Universe. If you came to us from Facebook, thank you there as well. Uh, you may know that I test out a number of the jokes and the photos on Facebook, so it's always a good place to hang out and get a jump on the show for the week. So let's see. Let's get to talk about the other voices, the real voices you're hearing in your ears right now. The one voice was Karen Hale, our producer, media mogul at newclevelandradio.net, co-host. Um, Go to newclevelandradio.net, check out all the great podcasts Karen has. Also, check out how to download us on Spotify and especially watch us on YouTube. We have plenty of great photos that go along with our stories, and that's the place to see them. Don't worry, you can still listen. We cover everything as well, so you'll still get the laughs, but it's always fun to see some of those photos. The other voice that's been popping up every once in a while in your other ear is none other than our co-host, the host of One in the World of Sports, my old buddy John Donalo. Hey, John, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well, Paul and Karen. And again, we're on time on Tuesday at 3:30, so that's a good sign.
That is a good sign. That's always a good sign, John. Is that we're at least recording on time. So uh, thank you again to everybody who's listening, and let's get right to it because I know you don't want to hear us talking about ourselves. You want to hear what's going on in the world. Well, we've got this is my one of my favorite. I got a lot of really good stories this week. A wild spoon lover from Iran. Now, when you don't know what a spoon lover is, you got to listen and find out. Snakes in the bathroom, birds in a plane, and more bad movie ideas. This is animals are going wild. All are not wild in terms of wild animals, but just going crazy all around the world. Um, for you Bigfoot fans and everybody who listens to the show knows that John is the biggest of Bigfoot fans. We got yeah, wait till you see a side of Bigfoot you don't normally see. Um,
Okay.
from Michigan, so not very far away. Um, the worst idea for a toothpaste flavor from Kentucky, and that's a hint to what the flavor might be. So you're gonna have to find out more by listening in. A Whopper, another hint, a Whopper of a health food from Japan. Sports-oriented health food, by the way, John.
Okay.
Plus, we've got more odd news. We've got trivia. We've got world records. John's got a weird sports for us as always, and then we play everybody's favorite weird news game, Bluff the Co-host. So let's get right to it. Let me get our logo up here while we're talking for a second here, because I want to mention that we have a new sponsor this week. So there's our logo. What in the world? Here's my book. What would you say to a naked space alien? The now available on Amazon. You can also find a link at paulseaburn.com. Go to Amazon, put my name in there, or put naked alien, and up it pops. So everybody, those of you who listen to the show know that one of our sponsors is Yes I Can Coaching with Karen. Again, go to newclevelandradio.net. You'll find out all about the great coaching services she offers. But we have a new sponsor this week, and that is Pierogi Man.
Whoa.
So I'm wandering through the vast wasteland of the internet, and I come upon an action figure of a pierogi. And he's got muscles, he's got muscular arms, he's got better arms than John and myself combined. Great legs, a very angry Kilbasi looking at him. And I love it. Up in the corner, it says it's ages 4 and above.
Yeah, well, you got to know that, right? It's important.
So apparently he's like Superman, but with fried onions. So so there's our other sponsor for this week is Pierogi Man. But if you want to, this always I get these things from the fine people at Polish Food News. So if you want the latest in news about Polish food, what I can't imagine that there's actually news. There's nothing new about Polish food. It's all the same. It's pierogi, sauerkraut, and kielbasi.
That's the standard fare anyway, right?
John, that's what they call themselves. Because we say that we're news and we really stretch the definition of news. But anyway, okay, we're going to Iran first. This was a great fun story here. So this guy's name is Abulfazi Saber Mokhtari. And I'm never going to pronounce that again because I'll never get it right again. He lives in Iran. He just broke his own Guinness World Record for the most spoons balanced on the body. Male, of course. When he balanced, get ready for this, he balanced, I lost him there. There he is. Gotta get my mouse lined up here. He and a partner stuck 96 spoons. 96 looks like teaspoons and tablespoons all over his naked back, shoulders, front chest. That's as graphic as we'll get there, and parts of his belly. 96 spoons before he couldn't hold anymore, and he shook and they all fell off. He discovered this talent, he says, as a child, before finding out that the ware in silverware is not spelled W-E-A-R. He thought, wow, I can wear silver. Look at this, Mom. So he claims that he discovered this talent. He can transfer energy from his body into any object. And he says, and I quote here, anything that has a surface I can stick to my body. Anything that has a surface I can stick to my body, such as, if you're taking notes, plastic, glass, fruit, stone, wood, and even a fully grown human. Now, I'm sure that doesn't get him any dates at the bar that he can do.
No.
His girlfriend was disappointed when she found out that's what he meant by spooning. So
You know,
So wait a minute, Paul. So wait a minute.
I know.
my mother used to balance a spoon on the tip of her nose.
I know, on your nose. Now that's one that I'm always impressed with that. This is really odd, and yet somewhat addictive to look at.
Let me ask you a question, Paul. So
Oh, sure.
he does this with no glue or any paste or anything like that.
Oh
This is
no,
just
oh John,
this is direct to the surface of his skin, right?
through his energy. That's right. Through his spuno magneto energy. Uh,
Wow.
He could have done more than 96, but his assistant over there ran out of spoons, which is pretty impressive right there that he actually had 96 spoons in his spoon drawer. I don't know,
Wow.
you know, I have 12 and it's always getting jammed because they stick up in 96 spoons. His must be jammed all the time.
Yep,
Um,
absolutely.
so
Wow.
I want to see him stick a fully grown human to his chest. That to me and
I
not
guess it.
yeah, not
I,
Peter Dinklage either. I want a fully grown,
you know,
not a little person, but Michael Jordan or LeBron James.
Ooh,
Maybe.
yeah.
Yeah, somebody a substantial human person.
I guess it's a skill like anything else, right?
And we use that term loosely here. Skill.
Yes,
Yes,
yes.
you're right. Um, my favorite is the look on his assistant's face. He doesn't look like he's enjoying himself. She doesn't really look like she's
He
enjoying
has really more of a
herself either.
scowl on his face,
Yeah.
really.
Well, I asked someone who can read faces, body language, and they said, "Oh, this is real easy." She's thinking to herself, "I majored in metallurgy in college, and this is the only job I could get."
Yep.
She's underemployed then, obviously. Wow.
So, Karen, you say who is it? Your brother?
My mother.
Your mother could put one spoon on her nose. John, how many spoons do you think you could balance on yourself?
Boy, you know what? I don't want to hazard a guess on this one. I mean, really. I think that's something that's kind of left in the unknown. If I got that right, Paul and Karen. Right.
So I thought it's only fair. I should ask myself and the same question. And John has seen me without a shirt on long time ago, but I'm in a somewhat hairy, so the spoons wouldn't be able to stick to me, but I could tie them, with the little hair knots.
Yeah, I guess that's possible, Paul. Wow. I never really thought of it.
I apologize to everybody out there for implanting that graphic image in your heads, but I doubt that I could go for more than a dozen without screaming in pain. So let's move on to Turkey. So there's a museum in Turkey that opened an exhibit featuring a 5,000-year-old piece of bread. 5,000-year-old piece of bread. There's a photo of the piece of bread right there. They believe it's the oldest known example of leavened baked bread. That's bread made with yeast. It was made with emmer wheat, some weird version of wheat, and lentils, which I don't normally put into bread. They said that the bread is rock hard and black, which means that it wasn't baked by a Turkish grandma, because she would never bake something that was rock hard. She would throw it out, and give you something good.
Sure.
Yeah, the archaeologists said they couldn't date the bread itself, but they figured out that it was 5,000 years old because it had 5,000-year-old teeth stuck in it.
Oh boy!
I'm trying to
Oh
bite
boy!
into it. Now I got a lot of comments on this on Facebook. A lot of people said that it would probably soften up if you dunked it in coffee, but this is Turkey. And have you ever tried Turkish coffee? Yeah.
No, I have not.
Oh, it's here's a picture of it right here. For one thing, they serve it in these really tiny little cups, the size of like a little girl's tea set. Karen, do they still sell tea sets for little girls anymore? I don't.
I don't know.
For my nieces.
I haven't been a little girl for a long time.
My grandnieces, I watch them play, and they don't play tea sets anymore.
No.
They pretend to call Uber and get delivery from Starbucks. So,
That's a sign of the times.
it is, John. So I have had Turkish coffee, and just because I like coffee, but this is difficult to drink. It's very it's like nuclear Folgers.
Yeah.
It's really loaded with caffeine, very little liquid, mostly grounds because they don't filter it. Kind of like this show, no filter. I tried to pour milk in mine. I had a little cup and I was going to pour some milk in. Even the milk refused to come out of the carton. It didn't want to have anything to do with that coffee. So and you don't stir it. They said you can't. It's so thick you can't stir it. It's like mud, and you just can't stir it. So I think this is why Turkish people switched from regular bread 5,000 years ago to pita bread because it doesn't get as hard. And pita bread has multiple functions. You can use it. You can put butter on it, obviously, or whatever you want. You can open it up and put, gyro meat and stuff like that in there.
Sure.
Yeah. But this is for you, John. You can always wear it as a hat as well.
Good one.
Well, that certainly is a look that guy's got going right now.
There you go. This is a guy with a huge pita that he ripped open and put it on his head. So I don't think that's going to protect him from UFOs or aliens or anything like that. Whatever it is he's trying to do. But as I said, we're unfiltered as well. So okay. So I know John gets. We haven't had a Bigfoot story in a while, so I figured I'd get the Bigfoot story in early.
Good.
My cheerleader over there. Yeah, come on, let's go.
Let's go.
I I also like this story because it's from Monroe, Michigan, which is just across the Ohio border. Now, how do I know that? Because the lovely Donna, my wife, tells this story from when she was in college. She went to Bowling Green University, which is on the Ohio side of the border between Ohio and Michigan. And she had just got a car, old Fairlane 500. And so her and her girlfriend wanted to, do what college kids do and imbibe, except that I think it was still 18 was the limit in Ohio. So they went across the border or 21. So they went across the border to Michigan. And they were going to go to one of the first big city they could find and buy a bunch of wine and bring it back. What happened? They got to Monroe, Michigan. In fact, here's a map here right here, so you know what we're talking about here. They got to Monroe, Michigan, and the car broke down. So,
oh no,
yeah. So they named it Monroe after the car, and that's what we called it until she sold it. So, anyways, there's so there's where Monroe, Michigan is, very close to the Ohio border, very close to Toledo, very close to Detroit. According to this report from the Bigfoot Field Researchers Organization, we quote them all the time. They do a super job of researching these stories. Guy by the name of Edward Henry and his son, 12-year-old son, were fishing in Monroe County on May 18th, not that long ago, when they shared their experience with the Bigfoot people. They said that the father, he said, they were bow fishing today with my son around 11:30 a.m. We walked down to the creek, past 4 bridges, and headed into the marsh. 100 yards into the marsh, the dog scared something that was bedded there. Trees were shaking. We thought it was a group of deer. Then they heard rustling in the tree to the left and a thud hitting the ground from the tree. My son said, "Holy," the word that begins with S. Yeah. What was that? It was as big as a bear, but it looked like a gorilla. This is the best part. Okay, so here's the best part. So they reported it to the Bigfoot guys, and Matthew Moneymaker, the head of Bigfoot research, calls him up, and he said he did his investigation. He said the animal was 10 feet up in the tree when it jumped. At no time was it facing the 2 humans. The point at which they got their clearest look at it was when it was ascending an embankment in front of them, and they could see, and I quote, the hairy back and big butt cheeks of Bigfoot.
Oh my God.
Now, if I remember, John, Big Hairy Butt Cheeks. I think we saw that band. Um,
I don't know, Paul. I'm
Big
always, I'm
Hairy
always, I'm
Bigfoot
always
Butt
in the
Cheeks.
dark on this with these other bands that we had seen when we were young or
Well,
whatever.
if
But
if we haven't, that's going to be the title song for my new Bigfoot musical when I finally get around to writing it.
okay,
Bigfoot's Hairy Butt Cheeks. I need some words that rhyme with cheeks, so be thinking about that. In fact, I
okay,
even have a photo. So here we go. Here's a photo of Bigfoot's big hairy butt cheeks. Obviously, artificially intelligent. So
Yeah.
before,
oh wow, yeah, it's too defined. That
oh,
figure
John,
is
yeah,
too defined,
I
right?
was going to ask you what the very physically fit Bigfoot there, if that was
Yeah.
a real one. So after I stared at this for a while because that I had nothing better to do, and I started thinking, what kind of toilet paper would Bigfoot use?
Oh,
Since we're looking at the the part that inspires questions like that. Any idea, John?
No, I don't. I'm still astounded by the statement, Paul. To be honest with you.
uh,
Well, it wouldn't be Charmin because Charmin is already being used by bears, and Bigfoot and bears don't get along with each other. Bigfoot far superior to bears. Um, so I found the perfect toilet paper. Oh, and I bet you I don't have a picture of it. I forgot the picture. Yeah, I did. It's called "Who Gives a Crap?" 100% bamboo toilet paper.
Oh boy.
It's a real product. Real product. It's on Amazon. Who Gives a Crap is the name of it. 100% bamboo. So no, regular trees were harmed by the making of this terribly named toilet paper. And they even had a review on the website from Bill. I didn't know Bigfoot had a name, but um, he said that the only oh he said that it was he loved it. Um, there's one drawback though that if Bigfoot does get hooked on this bamboo toilet paper, and then he runs out, you might find him in your backyard on the patio, sitting on the wicker furniture, and you don't want
Oh
to know.
boy.
oh,
That's a
oh,
bad visual right there. That's a bad visual.
I know, I know, I know. Who? So I would. My lovely wife said you should have saved "Who Gives a Crap" toilet paper for the Bluff the co-host, and I thought, too late. I need to use. I apologize. I should have had the picture there. I don't know what happened to it. Okay, so while we're on the subject of bathrooms, um, a man in Bangkok. This is a fun story this week. A man in Bangkok woke up at 3 a.m. to go to the bathroom and found this an 8-foot python, 8 feet long, in the commode in
oh,
in his bathroom. That's a real picture, curled up in the commode. Um, in a related story, this was in Thailand. Thailand still retains the official record for the largest toilets in the world to be able to hold an 8-foot long python curled up in there. I don't know what brand that is. They could probably use it in their advertising.
Wow.
So yeah, he called the police. He called the police, and they sent rescue workers. They actually have rescue workers, and they showed up less than an hour later to remove the stake. But the poor guy, he had to go to the bathroom. Yeah, he went through 3 changes of underwear waiting for them to get the stake.
Oh boy.
oh,
Yeah, I know. I
oh,
feel sorry for him. Yeah. If you live in a country where they have a department, a government department, whose job is to do nothing but remove snakes from toilets, I would move. I would. I don't. So the expert now they even have not only do they have a rescue a rescue team to get the pythons out, they actually have experts who advise people on how to keep the pythons out of your toilets.
whoa.
That's how many they have. Yeah, so they said secure drain covers, check the toilet before using. Goes without saying now. Flush beforehand. I don't know. I think that would really upset the python. And keep the lid closed when not in use, which explains, I've seen a number of these stories. It explains why it's always a guy who has the python in his toilet. It's never women because they always put the lid down, right, Karen?
You got it. Yep.
All right. So another this is one of my this is probably the most popular Facebook story I've ever done, other than some rock star passing away. Um, this is a musician by the name of Eric Coquin Poirier. He's from Quebec. He's invented a musical instrument called the guitardian. The guitardian. It is a combination accordion built into the body of a guitar, which allows him to play both instruments simultaneously, which means he can ignore two neighbors at the same time.
Whoa.
This is a real instrument. The video of him, guitardian, it's called, real video of him. He even shows pictures of the predecessor when he was trying to perfect it. This is the latest version of the guitardian.
Wow.
John, he could add a bagpipe on the other side and annoy three neighbors at once.
Yeah, I was going to say that's kind of amazing. Did he? Do you know how much time it took for him to come up with the predecessor, Paul?
No, I don't, John. But it was complicated. This one's much simpler. The other ones were far too complicated.
All right.
So I thought I want one of these. This is I don't know if he's selling them or not, but I already started composing some songs that I would play if I had a guitar. So it's these are combination songs, obviously, that use both the guitar and accordion. One of them would be "Stairway to Heaven Where There Is No Beer." That's my favorite. Another polka version, "Hoop de Doo Ron Ron," kind of a rock polka, right?
Sure.
And my favorite, a David Bowie polka, "The Man Who Stole the Kishka."
Wow.
So I even had a name for myself. I'm going to go on tour as Frankie Yeskovic, kind of a yes guitar. And how about this one, Weird Al Di Meola? Now I like that one better, but not too many people know that Al Di Meola is one of the top jazz guitarists in the world.
Right. Right.
So this guy, John and everybody out there, he's actually a professional one-man band. That's his job. That's how he paid. He paid for this, I guess. I don't know. He says he adds a harmonica, so he can play the guitar, accordion, and harmonica all at the same time, which I think would make him a really annoying Bob Dylan impersonator as well. And nobody would care if he can't sing, because Bob Dylan can't sing that well anymore either. So
yeah, it's true. That is true.
Yeah. So that was. I mean, I'm close to 1,000 likes, I think, on that story, and hundreds of shares and comments. I can't keep track of them anymore.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Second most popular story this past week, also a big one. This was submitted by a friend of the show, Ray. I'm not sure where Ray lives. Anyways, he knows who he is. So there's a budget airline in Europe that's planning to offer standing room only seats on an economy using get ready for this, the Skyrider 2.0, which is a half standing saddle style seat with a seat belt. So you can see there's barely enough of seat to put one butt cheek on. So you're mostly standing on this airplane, and you're crammed together because obviously that's the reason why they were putting all these people to get putting these seats in, is to cram more people on the plane. The armrest, they even have an armrest, which I think it's to pound on it, and curse the travel agent that said this was a good idea to save money on these seats.
Wow.
John, would you sit in something like that?
I couldn't fit in something like that, Paul, to be honest with you. No, I wouldn't.
I wouldn't either, no matter how cheap it was.
It looks painful.
What's that?
It looks painful.
Oh, Karen, good point. The company was anticipating comments like that, and they said, actually, it's good for your physical fitness to sit in a seat like this while you're on the plane. At a 45-degree angle, you put your weight on your legs and your core muscles, and you actually get a mini workout while flying. Yeah. You can, but and that's just for your core and your legs. You work your arm, you get your arm exercises by giving the finger to people in first
Yeah.
class who
Yeah.
looking back at you and
You gotta
laughing
vent
and
somehow.
pointing.
You have to vent somehow, right? Wow.
Yeah. If this doesn't work out, John, the company can still sell these to bars to, to with you got a seatbelt, they'd be a great bar stool with a seatbelt.
Sure.
I can't fall off. So
Right. No, no
I did
kidding.
not get a single positive comment on this. Absolutely no one thought that this was a good idea. I even heard from Spirit Airlines. Spirit said this isn't a good idea, but they're already planning to put bunk beds in theirs.
Oh man.
And then I heard from another new airline that has an even worse one. This is called Tom Cruise Airline. And with them, you fly on the outside of the
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Tom Cruise has a new movie out, by the way. I'm not sure, another Mission Impossible movie
Yes.
that I don't know if this is a scene from that movie, but he always does some wild stunts in those movies. So there's Tom Cruise Airlines right there. All right. So with all that extra space on the planes now, guess who's flying? Believe it or not, pigeons. A Delta Airlines flight from Minneapolis to Madison, Wisconsin was delayed twice after two pigeons were seen flying around the cabin. There's a picture of one of the
Oh,
pigeons right
wow.
there. Yeah, flying in the cabin. The plane had to be called back from the runway, so it didn't quite take off yet, two times until the birds were caught. On the third attempt to take off, the flight attendants told the passenger that in the event of an emergency, their seat cushions could be used as a pigeon swatting device. So,
A different function.
yeah,
Wow.
yeah. Had this been a Boeing plane, by the way, it was not, but had it been a Boeing plane, the pigeons would be kept on board as auxiliary engines just in case. Yeah. Hey, come on, Karen. They're not a sponsor. We can pick on them, right?
That's true. That's true.
A lot of the people were upset, the passengers, because the pigeons obviously had more legroom than they did. So
Oh
they,
man.
they finally caught the pigeon after they landed on a guy who looked like a statue of Abraham Lincoln. So they thought, oh, it's home. They on his shoulder pooped.
That's where they normally rest.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, the person behind him quickly threw I think they must have thrown a barf bag or something over him.
Oh my.
So this reminded me of your neighborhood, Karen. We talked about this last week with the walking geese that don't fly because they don't feel like flying. This is pigeons who don't fly because I don't know, they must have frequent flyer miles. So instead of flapping their wings, they're on an airplane. Yeah, what? Take us to Florida for our fly south for the winter. Okay, so let's talk about something that you don't see on planes anymore, and that is food. KFC, believe it or not, is now offering the world's first fried chicken flavored toothpaste. I am not making this up. There it is. Kentucky Fried Chicken toothpaste. Tastes like KFC's original recipe. And to apply it, if you don't have a toothbrush, which everybody has a toothbrush, but to make it official, they're selling a KFC electric toothbrush to go along with the fried chicken toothpaste with 3 dynamic cleaning modes, a built-in timer, and soft tapered bristles. Perfect way to apply it. Why would anybody buy KFC flavored toothpaste, you may ask?
Yes. Why?
The only thing I could think of is that you have a girlfriend who likes KFC chicken and you want to get her in the mood right away. So, and you don't have to buy her dinner. Hey, come here, baby.
Oh,
I got your chicken
no.
right here, as someone might say. So, so John, if you're wondering how much it costs, so you can order one.
No, I'm wondering. I don't think I would, but yeah, I wonder what the cost is. I'm just curious.
$13. $13 for a tube, one tube of KFC Kentucky Fried Chicken flavored toothpaste. $13. Okay. For $13, I don't know if I can buy a big bucket, but I know I can get a small serving of chicken at KFC. I can use the leg to brush my teeth.
Yeah.
I can use the thigh. I can rub it underneath my arms and any place
Oh
else.
my. Hey,
Oh,
Paul.
You know, I might as well go all KFC with all your, you know, body. I don't have to buy any kind of deodorant or
oh my
you know,
God.
rub the grease on your
Hey,
face. Yeah,
Paul, do you know what the cost is of the electric toothbrush?
$58. Oh,
$58.
so that's a bargain right there.
Right. Oh
So
my.
all I can say is that we've officially reached hell on earth.
Sign of the apocalypse, Paul.
That's right.
It's the
That's
sign of the
John. The only worst one that I could think of would be KFC toilet paper, recommended by 4 out of 5 proctologists surveyed.
Oh,
Oh,
So this was, and this should be no surprise. This started out as an April Fool's joke, and some marketing person at KFC thought that what a good idea. So they actually came out with the product, and it's for sale, you know, for a limited time only. One of those kinds of things.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So I think instead of just calling it KFC toothpaste, they should have given it a more, you know, chicken flavored name. So I thought of a couple here. My first suggestion for a chicken flavored toothpaste would be Sensodyner. Like,
Yeah, right. Okay.
okay, how
Yeah.
about this one?
Catchy name.
Wing and Hammer.
ooh.
Oh,
Okay.
a little better, Karen. How about this one? Squawk Refresh.
Ooh.
Okay.
But here's my favorite, Aqua Breast.
Oh.
Oh
Oh.
No.
wow.
So I'm guessing nobody would try this stuff.
No.
But obviously, they're limited time only. They're expecting to sell quite a bit of it. So, you know, if that's your thing, go ahead. All right. While we're talking about fast food, here's another example of a fast food company breaking into new markets. This comes from Japan. Burger King. This is John. This is the sports-oriented fast food here, right?
Okay.
Burger King in Japan has joined forces with the Japan Pickleball Federation to create the pickleball burger. There's a picture of it, the pickleball burger. It's official. There's the Burger King logo right up in the corner.
Uh-huh.
3 flame grilled 100% beef patties sandwiched between 2 rice patties that have been specially developed for pickleball. The The burger provides energy for the pickleball players, while the rice patties can be frozen to put on your knees, on your sore knees and your sore ankles.
Oh.
I can't think of any other reason I would eat one of these rice patties here.
Yeah, no kidding. Wow.
But I was thinking about this. This has got to be the only way that the United States is ever going to beat Japan in pickleball is if the players eat 3/4 pound hamburgers before the match and, you know, start burping or whatever else they might be doing, and our only chance to win. If you eat enough of these, you can hide the your spare pickleball balls in the folds of your belly.
Oh my.
Yeah, you know, this doesn't sound like something healthy. 3/4 pound patties. You see the size of it. I mean, this is higher than some of the players on the Japanese baseball team,
Yeah.
a pickleball team.
Oh my gosh.
I know. I'm
Wow.
sorry. If I offended anybody out there, I'm sorry on that one. So this is the rice patties are newly developed. They got some kind of medical health person involved with a combination. It's made carefully selected white rice and a type of brown rice known as kin no ilbuki, which I think is Japanese for better than buns.
Oh my.
I mean, John, you go to far more sports in person than I do. This looks like the kind of thing that the fans would eat rather than the players, don't you
Yeah,
think?
I would think it'd be more geared towards a fan as opposed to an actual participant. Yeah, definitely. Wow.
So, do you think that this would sell, say, at a Guardians game?
I don't know.
Karen's shaking her head.
No.
I don't think so. I don't think it would go over very well.
Well,
Just an educated guess.
how about if it was covered with nacho cheese, maybe?
Well, that might attract some people or even interest some people in doing it, right?
How about
Having it.
how about if it was deep fried on a stick?
Oh, geez. Oh.
I don't know. You got to get past the idea of, like you said again, it's those three patties.
I
Yeah.
think the patties, the patties would kill it. But it's got pickles, so you get your vegetables as well.
Have to have plenty of napkins with that dish. That's for sure.
Okay, one more world record for us here. This is my favorite. This came from Finland. A lady by the name of Jasmine Saristo of Finland set a new Guinness World Record for the farthest distance walking on a rolling globe when she balanced, walked, and rolled 3,608 feet and 11 inches. Here's a picture of her right here, so you get an idea of it. This looks like those balls that they sell people to sit on or exercise on, but it's solid. This one is solid. You can see she's not sinking into it. So she walked the distance, the length of over 10 football fields. That's how far she went. Yeah, she set the world record. She plans to use her prize money to open a massage parlor for fat guys.
Well,
If you think
there
about
might be a market for that, right?
Oh, you think, walking on your spine, I think she'd be perfect for that. She actually got an offer from the United Nations to perform on a real globe, which I think would be kind of cool, walking around the UN on a real globe. She also set a second record for the most time standing on a rolling globe saying, whoa, whoa. Oh, I'm okay. I got it. Whoa, whoa. I got it.
Oh, boy.
Now, John, this is the best part. And you can see this from the picture, but I'm going to point this out. She's in a gymnasium, not on a street, which means that not only did she roll in a straight line, she had to go around the corners. And I don't know how many times it took her half an hour that she went around to get her 3,600 feet. So I'm thinking this could be a sport. This could be a sport if there were more people like her. Maybe put them on a giant pool table, and they could be bumping into each other. Not trying.
Oh yeah, sure.
Better yet, and this is for you. How about giant bocce ball walking?
Oh, okay.
Think about that. Yeah, bring this
Sure.
up at your next team meeting. And this we could start something here.
Wow, Paul, I never thought of that.
That's what you didn't do enough drugs when you were younger, John. That's why.
Maybe that's why. I don't know. Wow. Oh boy.
All right. Well, speaking of sports, let's move on to a much better sport. Maybe we'll see. In our sports segment here, do I have a sign? Well, yeah, there we go. What in the world of sports with my old buddy John Donalo? So regular listeners know that John and I we met in college. We're fraternity brothers. John has always, all this time he's known more about sports than anybody else I know. So he's the perfect guy for the challenge that I issue to him every week. John, find us a sport that fits with the theme of our show. Real sport, sometimes strange, always funny. And John always manages to come up with a sport that fits that theme. Some more weird than others. Very odd one this week. So, John, why don't you tell us what the sport is?
Yeah, Paul, thank you for the introduction. Yeah, I will. So, our sport this week is memory sport. Now, remember this because there's going to be a test afterwards. So, anyway, this sport is sometimes referred to as competitive memory or the mind sport of memory, and it refers to competitions in which participants attempt to memorize and then recall different forms of information under specific guidelines.
Wow.
So, techniques for training your memory go back to ancient Greece, when formal memory training was considered an important part of basic education. However, trained memorization as a sport didn't really arrive until the 20th century. The annual World Memory Championships began in 1991, and it inspired national competitions in a dozen countries, including the US, India, Germany, and even Mongolia.
Well, I'm just looking at this picture you have here. This one's in Turkey, the 35th
Yes.
from last year, 2000.
From last year,
How
right.
about that? Wow.
Yeah. So a list of competitions can be found on the International Association of Memory Statistics website.
Wow.
The primary worldwide organizational bodies, there's two of them, are the International Association of Memory and the World Memory Sports Council. Now, these organizations set the 10 memory disciplines used in the memory competitions. Now, these 10 competitions are the following: names and faces, binary numbers, random numbers, abstract images, speed numbers, historic and future dates, random playing cards, random words, spoken numbers, and speed playing cards.
Wow.
So, to give you an example of a competition in random playing cards, a competitor must memorize the order of a shuffled deck of cards in as little time as possible. Then arrange a new deck of cards in exactly the same order.
Wow.
That's amazing.
That
So
hurts my head already.
at the World Championship, all 10 disciplines are conducted at maximum timing, while at other international competitions, some disciplines are shortened to a 30-minute time format. In regional competitions, some disciplines are cut while others are shortened. So there is some flexibility on that in terms of how they actually run these competitions.
Jeez.
Now, according to the World Memory Championship Competitors Handbook, most competitors use mnemonic techniques for memorizing. And this is where you translate the random numbers or cards to meaningful things like persons, actions, and objects, which is easier to memorize. And then you link them together into an easy remembered scenario.
Yeah, that's a pretty common thing, I guess. Yeah.
Well,
That's a good idea.
that's typically how these folks do this. Now,
Yeah.
this may sound tame, but memory contests are not without controversies. In 2016, due to a dispute between players and the WMSC, most of the organizations except China and Arabia withdrew from the WMSC, and then they launched the IAM and held competing world championships in that format.
Like the NFL and the AFL back in the old days.
There you
Wow.
go. Right. Exactly. Now, there are also alternative format competitions like the Memory League Championships, which were formerly the Extreme Memory Tournament, the Memoriad, and the MAA Memo Games.
Extreme memory. Okay.
Yeah. Now, according to the experts, a person does not need a superior memory to win at memory sport. Some of the best players have average memories, but are good at mnemonics and are willing to spend many hours practicing those types of techniques. Now, if you think that you're too old to compete in memory sports, don't worry. There's a senior competition where all you have to remember is where you lift your keys and the remote control.
Oh man, I can do that, I think. I don't know.
A very interesting sport. The
Yeah,
way I
that's
see it, though,
completely
very
off the
interesting.
wall. Yeah. I
Sure,
like
sure.
the extreme memory. I wonder what they did there. If they used smaller cards or more cards, or or did it underwater? Yeah, who knows?
Well,
You,
it's gonna tax your mind regardless, right? So some
wow.
people are not
Yeah.
interested in doing it, but some are. Obviously, a lot are, as you can see. Yeah.
Yeah. That's a good. I never realized it was a sport. I took management courses a long time ago where they would teach us those memory kind of techniques, and
Mhm.
they they come in handy. But I never thought of it as a competition. That's really interesting. Um, Good sport, John. Good
Yeah.
sport.
Thanks, Paul.
I
Yeah, it
was
is very
so
unique sport. Yeah, very unique
yeah,
sport.
yeah. I was thinking when you said you were going to talk about it, I thought I had never heard of anything like that before. But then I remembered, way back when we were in college, we were in the fraternity. Uh, there was another fraternity that challenged our frat to a memory competition. Do you remember that? Speaking
No,
of memory.
coincidentally, I do have a recollection of this, but I might need a little bit more detail.
Have no memory of memory. That's it. Well, there wasn't much to go on that I could remember, but we got put in charge as always because we were the younger guys. So the older guys, they always said, you two don't screw it up this time. So we had to come up with something that we could memorize against the other team. So we thought of a corn maze, because there was corn around in Cleveland at that time. So we found a field and we were going to make a maze, but we had to memorize it first. And so I was the techie guy. I was in computers. So I came up with this device that was going to help us memorize the maze. There's a picture of me with this thing on my back and an antenna, and I don't know. I must have made something out of a tin can there. It didn't look too sophisticated. As usual, John had the right answer. So John says, "No, here's what we need to do. We're going to win. We just need to get a tractor." And,
that's a good way to know that. Okay, yeah, I remember that.
John didn't have to memorize anything. He just made his own maze as he was going along and made it out far in front of all the rest of the fraternity guys that combined. So, as usual, we won again and went to have some adult beverages with our good friends in the other fraternity. And I think that's enough of that.
Yeah, put that to rest, Paul. Put that to rest.
Put it to rest. Thank you. I will do that, John. I will do that. I think there we go. We've reached the end here. That means it's time for Bluff the Co-Host, everybody's favorite weird news game. The rules of Bluff the Co-Host are simple. I have 3 stories similar to the ones we've been talking about all afternoon. One big difference. Those stories were real. These may be real, maybe a bluff, and it's up to Karen, John, and those of you playing at home to decide real story, fake story. The wagering is allowed, so place your bets. John and Karen, put your hands on the buzzer. Let's get right to story number 1. Many neighborhoods are happy that June has arrived and No Mow May has ended, so that their environmentally obsessed neighbors will finally mow their lawns. Unfortunately, some of those people are now celebrating a new obsession called Juicy Dandelion June. Proponents of Juicy Dandelion June say you should leave the long grass and the weeds growing, but make friends with your irate neighbors by making them salads using the dandelion leaves and jellies and nectars using the juicy flowers. Juicy Dandelion June is not catching on like No Mow May just yet, and supporters are blaming landscapers who don't like losing another month of business. If it does catch on, get ready for Be Kind to Butterfly July. Okay, so
we'll cross that bridge when we come to it, I think.
No Mow May. I have people in my neighborhood that do No Mow May, but this is the new one, Juicy Dandelion June, a good excuse to keep your lawn unmowed for another month. Real or bluff? Karen, we'll start with you. What do you say?
Well, I hope it's a bluff, and you can pick those dandelions and make wine, because dandelion wine is good.
Oh, speaking from personal experience.
So,
okay.
I hope this is a bluff, because I don't want to see all those dandelions and fuzzies going all over the world.
The fuzzies are the bad ones, not the dandelions themselves. I don't think you can make wine out of the fuzzies.
No.
Okay, so Karen says it's the bluff. John, how about you?
I'm going to say it's true. And the reason I say that it's true is that it's well known that Italian people, they will pick all kind of wild vegetation like dandelions. And there's people I know that are in my family actually that used to eat dandelions.
Wow.
That they would actually pick from the parkway or what have you, from the park and in the area. So I'm going to say it's true.
Oh, so did you eat them?
No, no, I did not. I was a very picky eater when I was growing up, and I'm still a very picky eater.
I can vouch for that. Okay, so John says if they're Italian, especially if they're Italian, it's a real story. And Karen says, no, it's a bluff. So let's check with the judges, and the judges say, sorry, that's a bluff, John.
Oh, okay.
Congratulations to Karen.
All right,
No
Karen, way to go.
Yep.
no Monet is real, but definitely not juicy dandelion.
So
I
they'll
know.
go.
I'm
So they'll,
glad because all those people that were growing those dandelions were blown into my yard, so it doesn't happen anymore.
there you
Okay,
go.
so scores 1-0. Karen's in the lead. Let's get right to story number 2. Married men usually show how much they love their wives by buying them jewelry. But a guy in California showed his love by disassembling his BMW after his wife of less than a year lost her wedding ring while cleaning it in the car. What he thought would be an easy job turned into a nightmare as he didn't find anything after removing the mats. Next, he took out the front seat, then the carpeting, the floor panels, and all the wires underneath them. Still no ring. That meant he had to take out the entire console, the gear shift, and some transmission parts until he finally found the ring nestled between some rods. His wife captured the whole thing on video, which came in handy putting the car back together. She promised not to clean her ring in the car or ride with her arm out the window anymore. Okay, so the guy whose new wife, lost her wedding ring in his BMW, and he disassembled much of the inside of the car in order to find it for her. Real or bluff? John, we'll start with you.
Well, I think that's a terrible thing, like to lose a wedding ring, obviously, right? And I can understand why a person would be motivated to do all that. But I want to say it's a bluff. I think that person went to a too great of an extent, to find the ring. I understand the importance of it, of course, but I just think for him to go through all of that would just be a little bit too much. I want to say it's a bluff.
So John says it's a bluff, and I hope your wife's not listening to this, John. Um, okay, John says it's a bluff. Karen, how about you?
Yeah, I think it's a bluff too, because I cannot imagine any man I know doing anything like that, especially to like a BMW that, they probably wouldn't know how to put back together again. So I'm going to say it's a bluff.
Okay, so wow, both Karen and John say that story is a bluff. Let's check with the judges, and the judges say that man is a wonderful husband. He actually tore apart his BMW in order to find his wife's wedding ring, and they were driving. They were going to get fast food, and she decided she wanted to clean her. That's how it started. And
Wow.
yeah, why do you need your wedding ring clean to go get a hamburger? Unless maybe they were getting one of those triple decker rice burgers from.
Well, I think the good news is at least they found the ring.
Yeah.
I mean, what if it went through the whole process, right? And then they didn't find it. I mean, that'd be terrible on a couple of counts.
I think the scariest part for me would have been if he's doing it from the inside. It's on video. It's on TikTok. He's doing it from the inside. I'd be afraid I would get to the point where I pulled that last thing out and I could see the ground and I still didn't find the ring.
Yeah.
That would bother me. Okay, so let's see. So you were both wrong on that one. That means Karen's still in the lead, but points are doubled in round number 3. So John could still come back and win here. So let's get right to story number 3. Madame Tussauds is known worldwide for its wax sculptures of famous people, both living and dead. But the number of visitors was down in London. So the museum management decided to expand into wax sculptures of inanimate objects. The first one is a sausage roll from the Greg's Bakery chain, which is apparently so loved by British people that it deserved a wax version, which visitors say looks just like a real cooked sausage wrapped in puff pastry. In fact, it looks so good that Madame Tussauds keeps it in a locked case with a security guard nearby. The management at Madame Tussauds is looking for more foods to honor, but don't hold your breath for a wax haggis. Okay, so Madame Tussauds Wax Museum is branching out from people into food. Real or bluff? Karen, we'll start with you again.
You know, people do anything for money, so I'm going to say it's real.
Okay. All right. Right to the point there. Karen says it's a real story. John, how about you?
You know, my first blush is that no, why would they do that? I mean, it kind of violates the whole spirit of Madame Toussaint. I mean, it's people, it's individuals. It's nothing to do with inanimate objects. And even though the pursuit of money is very, very significant out there in the world, I'm going to hope and say that this is a bluff. I'm going to say it's a
Okay.
bluff.
All
Yeah.
right. So John hopes and prays that it's a bluff. Karen and hopes and prays that it's real. Is that right? Okay, hopes, not pray, just hopes. Let's check with the judges. And the judges say, way to go, Karen. Your hopes, even though you didn't pray for it, that is a real story.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah.
Wow. Well,
Google
Karen,
it, John.
congratulations.
I,
Wow.
I know. I can't imagine them wasting so much time on a sausage roll, but they must be really good sausage rolls. So
Well, I guess it kind of again, like I say, it detracts from the whole idea of the whole spirit of the
Yeah.
of the museum, right?
I
Because
agree.
it's people, right? So okay, well,
I-
live and learn, I guess. And Karen, congrats,
Hey,
congrats again.
we have to keep evolving, you know.
Yes,
That's
there you
what we
go.
know.
That's right. That's oh
Well
my.
put, Karen. I couldn't have said it better myself. So let's end it right there on such a profound note from Karen. I want to thank Karen, our producer, co-host, media mogul at newclevelandradio.net. Thank you as always for everything you do for our show, for all of the podcasts at newclevelandradio.net, and also for Yes I Can coaching with Karen. If you need coaching services, please go to newclevelandradio.net and check out. She's got all the information there. It's worth your while to investigate. I also want to thank my old buddy John. Poor guy's going to be hitting the flashcard doll this week.
I was just going to tell the audience that yeah, it's going to be flashcard heavy for sure this week to make sure I can make a comeback. And a shout out to our fraternity brother and friend Dan in South Carolina, who always champions my victories and always is in my corner when I lose. So I'm sure I'll get some moral support from Dan on that as well.
You will. That's right. And for those of you who follow the show, we mentioned John and I really are fraternity brothers. We are going to our 50th college reunion this weekend, so we'll have an update on that as well next week. Another good reason, another weird news story for next week. And please tune in, because you're the reason why we do the show every week. So without the audience that we have, wouldn't be any fun. I hope you have as much fun listening as we do putting the podcast on every week. Again, check me out on Facebook. You go to my website for more information, paulseaburn.com. Go, let's see, newclevelandradio.net, mysteriousuniverse.org, all those great places. Find out all about us. But most importantly, have a fun week. And thank you again for joining us. And I think that's it for the week.
One other thing, though, if there's any techie out there who can figure out where our extra sound is coming from, please let us know, because we have turned off everything else on our computers other than the Zoom. And, it's not there all the time, but it does show up. So
I was going to say, yeah, make sure you mention that we are using Zoom. So, yeah, you got me. I'm stumped as well. So stump the co-host, stump the host.
Yeah, exactly.
Really.
Okay. Thank you, again, Karen, for mentioning
Thanks,
that.
everybody.
Take
Bye-bye.
care, everybody. Have a good week.